best. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive thoughts.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. We're honored to have Larry Easto on our podcast today. He is going to give you a wealth of knowledge. He is a seasoned professional with over 40 years experience as a lawyer, as a consultant, and even as a coach, right? Larry's unique approach has helped him with countless clients navigate complex decisions, really by empowering them to take ownership of their actions and their outcomes, right? And you already know on the Mindset Cafe, it all starts with you and your mindset. So you already know that you're responsible for your own actions. Larry, I just want to take the time to say thank you again for taking the time out of your day to hop on, all the way out from Toronto, Canada.
Oh, great! It's a joy to be here. I love the energy of your podcast, and just sitting here listening to the music and thinking, wow, that's amazing. That's great. Let's go. So yeah, I just love the energy that you generate.
I appreciate that. So let's just dive right in. How did you get started in, as a lawyer, as in that career field, and what made you want to go with that route?
Well, to be honest, I'm a lawyer by default. I didn't really know what I want to do, and came graduating from high school. I made a couple of bad decisions there. Wound up going to university. Had a conversation with the new dean of our college, and he says, "So Larry, what are you doing next year?" And I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, you've been active at student events and blah, blah, blah. Why don't you go to law school?" And I said, "Perfect. It's across the road. I'll start going over there." And he said, "No. You got to get off campus." And I think, oh, what did I do wrong to get kicked off campus? And he explained that it would be better for me to learn to go to a different campus and all that stuff. And fine, okay, I'll go. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought, hey, delay the decision 3 years, right? So I went to law school and still didn't know what I wanted to do. I graduated, qualified as a lawyer, did a job that was not practicing law that I loved a lot. Long story short was that I wound up practicing law in a small town as an employee. And as often happens, I had a disagreement with my boss in terms of how a client should be served. Somehow I thought that client service should have a higher priority over revenue for the firm. Silly me. And so I decided, I can run my own business, I think. So I left and started my own business. So not only was I a lawyer by default, but I was an entrepreneur by default. I didn't really want to run the business. I wanted to look after clients. But I found that the only way for me to look after clients, the way I thought they deserved to be looked after, was to run my own practice. So there it was. And that was, not only was it a dramatic change in the way I did things, just a dramatic change in mindset, just from the introduction. That was the first time in my life that I took full responsibility for my own well-being. Before that, it was, whatever comes along is good. If not A, B, and if not B, C, something will come along. And it was only when I saw my name on the sign that I thought, whoa, the buck stops here. We gotta be serious about that. So that's really when it started. And it's been a marvelous journey ever since.
No, that's awesome. And it's funny that you mentioned that was your pivotal point for becoming an entrepreneur. Because I had a similar disagreement with the gym owner that I was working for and stuff. And for me, that was what led me into one of the steps that led me into becoming a gym owner and launching the franchise. So I think that's so awesome that you really knew and had that internal drive that the client comes first, and then learning how to run a business. But if your passion for service to the customers or to the clients is really what you're doing it for, the business kind of will start to fall into place. Obviously there takes action, and I'm sure that you had road bumps along the way, and you had to learn things as a business owner that you didn't know as a lawyer. But it was all worth learning those extra steps. What was that mindset shift of realizing, okay, I don't need to just be a lawyer, I do need to be a business owner now?
I think the big shift was from whatever comes along to No, I've got to do some planning. I've got to set some goals. I've got to, instead of waiting for clients to find me and drift in, I've got to get out and hustle clients. I've got to do this kind of thing. And instead of waiting for the paycheck to come in, I had to make sure that the money was coming in to pay the rent and to pay my staff and to pay all those kinds of things. So it shifted me from almost a que sera attitude to very focused. Where do I want to? What do I want to? I guess it started out with what do I need this year, and then it evolved from what do I need to what do I want, and then it moved from the 1 year planning cycle to a 2 or 3 planning year cycle, and then eventually it got to a lifetime planning cycle. We just kind of tweak our life plan as we go through. But the big thing was that I guess it comes down to taking responsibility for ourselves. One of the books that really influenced me was Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. And his number one success principle is take 100% responsibility for your own well-being. And for me, that was a totally new concept because I come from a working class background. When I went to university, my mother was really happy because she thought that it would help me get a better job because everybody in the family worked in factories. And by better job, she thought office job in the factory, not something else. So it was a total mind shift. Away from bitching about the employer or complaining about this or wanting time off or whatever, to thinking, hey, wait a minute, the buck really does stop here. And it was scary. I mean, it was exciting, but it was scary. And it was only then that I started to realize, well, I've done all these things. Let's see what we can make out of them. Let's see the value of them. Let's see what I've learned along here. Some of those stupid courses that didn't make sense in university are starting to make sense. Some of those philosophy courses, who takes philosophy? Come on. But it started to make sense. So it was only after I guess was free of the employee mindset that I was really able to focus on my own strengths and build on them.
No, that's awesome. And I want to rewind to something that you said, because I think this is so crucial for not just entrepreneurs, but for people in general, right? You said that you started to shift your mindset and really think about, what do I need? And then started shifting it to what do I want? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. When I started my practice, I knew what I wanted. I knew that I had to get an office, and I knew I had to get staff, and I knew I had to get clients and all that kind of stuff. But that was all part of the need quantity. That was all part of the need column. I needed to pay the bills, but it didn't take too long to realize I want to do more than pay the bills. There's more to me than that. And it was only when I started to kind of drift off of the organizational business development part of the scale and get into the personal development part of it, that I started to realize there's more to me than just being a lawyer. There's more to me than just being a consultant or a coach. And somewhere along the line, well, I know exactly when, but along the line, I came across creation spirituality. I've always been a fairly spiritual kind of a person. And I read about creation spirituality and thought, wow, this is amazing. So I got back in touch with the spiritual side of me. And so it was actually getting in touch with the spiritual side of me that led to my leaving law. And it's been an amazing journey since then. So it was I think probably taking the blinders off that we have to have to survive as an employee. We need that. We have something to prevent us from seeing all the things we don't want to see, that we don't want to get involved in, and all that kind of thing. So I think it was releasing those blinders allowed me to see the potential within me. And I was fortunate to have a number of people who could also see the potential in me. And so I just kind of built on that. So yeah, it's not about dollars. It's not about the end of the journey. It's who am I, and what is my best purpose? What is my best reason for being here? And so that's when I look back, that was really the start of the journey. It was the soul searching that I'd never done before.
No, that's so awesome. And the reason why I wanted to rewind back to that question is because I feel like so many people skip the what do I really need? Like, what do I need to cover? What do I need to just be okay? Right. And they always are in this, what do I want? And they think of that as what I need. Right. I need this fast car. I need this bigger house. It's like, you don't need those things. Those are wants. Right. And
Right,
yes,
exactly.
it's okay to want those things, but what do you need? What do you need to cover your payroll? What do you need to cover, those kind of things, right? So I think that was so crucial, because not a lot of entrepreneurs really even mention that. I've talked to, a lot of entrepreneurs, and that this is the first time someone actually said that separation, which I think was so awesome, because I tell this to people in person, whether it's, in the fitness side or, just on with like coaching and stuff. And so I think that's so awesome that you mentioned it. And that's why I didn't want to just skip over that. Right.
Well, it's interesting because we're using labels, and so many things could be either a want or a need.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of us shy away from talking about want because it sounds selfish. It sounds really, really selfish. I want. The flip side is that okay, turn it into a need. I need personal growth. I need to have things. I need to do things. I need to be things. So we switch it over there, and it's easy to take. It's easier to do, easier to move down. But want, it's a personal kind of a thing. So person A's needs, we may need the same kind of transportation, but some of us are okay with a small car. Some of us want a big car. So it's diving a little bit deeper, going a little deeper. And as long as we recognize that need and want are not emotional words, I mean, they're descriptors. Yeah. So let's not put labels on them. Let's attract emotions to them. So
Right.
it's just, I find want a little more gratifying than need. Need is pushing, want is pulling.
Mm-hmm. And I think that when I was mentioning, want and need, I really think the way I think of it is need, because, being on the Mindset Cafe, right, we're not trying to go backwards, right? So in need, what do I need to basically keep everything, sustain everything I have right this second? Right? Pay the current, house bills, pay the current car payments, pay the, whatever the case is, right? What do I need to just survive? Right? That would be a need. Right? But then I think that it is important to want, right? So it is so important to want, because if you don't want for anything and you don't desire for anything, that means you're not setting goals for yourself, right? You're okay with just being where you're at, which means there's no growth in that. There's no potential in that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that it can have an emotional attachment, and it should a little bit, because that's what's going to put the extra little fire under your butt and get you going towards those wants.
Exactly. And over the past couple of years, I've learned to break wants into three categories. What do I want to have? What do I want to do? And what do I want to be? And that just for me, it categorizes it so nicely that it, the planner in me is going, yeah, we got all these categories and all these checklists to tick off, but it helps me see the big picture better. It helps me really zero in on the issue to be addressed, rather than this big blue sky. I love big blue skies, but it really focuses on specific issues to be addressed. So it makes the planning process easier.
No, that's awesome. So taking a pivot and going back into some of your professional life, because you had mentioned something and it really interests me, because honestly, I've always thought about this. I've had personal training clients, when I was a personal trainer before, that were lawyers and attorneys and stuff. And I always wondered, right, how, as a business owner, because a lot of them own their firms. And for me, it's like when you get injured or when something happens, then you go to a lawyer, right? But then I started to realize that there is a level of marketing to it, right? Because you see the billboards, you see, one of my clients used to bring me custom, things that they were giving out as gifts for the year. So I know that one of your things that you've done over the years, with the marketing service, right? You've taken a different approach to your own marketing. Right? What was that turning point that led you to take your own approach to marketing? And two, what did you do for, marketing as an attorney?
Okay. I'll ask this. I'll answer the second question first. Okay. When I started my law practice, I knew I had clients. I knew I needed clients. I carried some from the old practice, but I knew I needed new ones. And at the time, lawyers couldn't advertise. So we thought that that meant we couldn't market. Marketing was for business people, and we weren't business people. We were professionals. Thank you very much. So I needed clients. So, you know, I couldn't advertise. And if I couldn't advertise, I couldn't market. So what could I do? I did what people have always done. Professionals have always done. I networked. Now, you know, schmoozed network. I belonged to 2 golf clubs, 2 curling clubs. I skied, played baseball, all of those things. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. And I got a whole bunch of business. I got into trouble with some of the other lawyers. I was a catcher I sponsored a baseball team, and that was a no-no, but I did it. And catcher on the team. And I gave a baseball team discount on any services. I think I gave him a 10 or 15% discount. A lawyer in another town got a hold of a client's bill, and he raised hell that I was discounting legal services. And I'm saying, it's a friend. I'm discounting for a friend. He said, oh, you don't do that. You don't do that. Lawyers don't do that. I'm saying, oh, go to hell. Get off my back. So anyway, that's what I did. I just networked like crazy. And now when I look back at it, I wasn't pushing business. I wasn't. I mean, I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to golf. I wanted to curl. I wanted to ski. I wanted to do all those things. I realized that as a result of doing those activities, I met people, built relationships. And as a result of these relationships, they liked me, they trusted me. So when they needed a lawyer, they either came to me, or if somebody said, do you know any good lawyers? They'd say, well, you know, Larry's a pretty good guy. Why don't you go see him? So it was all through building personal relationships. And that's what, you know, that's what all business is about. You know, there are people who have relationships with Mac or PC. There are people who have relationships with Coke or Pepsi. That's not a personal relationship, but it's a relationship. So when I was practicing law, it was all about personal relationships. And oh man, I went to so many service clubs and all of those kinds of things. It was so boring, but I did it, and it was great. After I left law, I realized, hey, and I not only did I leave law, but I leave small town, moved into a big city. So I moved from a town of like 3,500 people to a city of like 2 million. So it's a different game, a different ballpark. So I did what rational, reasonable, intelligent people did. I went to school to learn how to market. And it was a great marketing course. It was a university course. And I was enjoying it, but I'm thinking, this would be amazing if I'm selling canned soup, but I'm not selling canned soup. I'm selling personalized consulting services. How do I do it? So I thought, well, okay, I worked before, I worked again. So I did some networking, joined Chamber of Commerce, joined business groups, and on and on and on, and did that. And so I was basically doing the networking thing. I went to a workshop and how to build your consulting business. And at the end, and the guy said, if you want to really build your business, you really need to write a book. And I'm thinking, whoa, I kind of like that idea. So he did a 15-minute thing at the end of the program, and all about writing a book. And I got the bug to write a book. Just had to write a book. So I wrote my first book, which was How to Succeed in Your Home Business. And it was great. It did really well. It became a bestseller and raised the profile. And so I started to market on the back of that. And as I'm doing this, I periodically do a marketing workshop, and it was the same old. There was so much hype, so much bullshit, so much garbage. It just didn't appeal to me. I'm thinking, what is this all about? So I guess the penny dropped when I wanted to learn some copywriting for something. And so I was taking a copywriting workshop, and there was so much crap in that workshop. It was just overwhelming. And I was just so offended by it. I personally found it offensive that somebody was wasting my time with this kind of garbage. So I found myself thinking, well, you know, if that's not good, what would be good? And I was reflecting back to the relationships I built both as a lawyer and as a consultant, and thinking, well, okay, these are personal relationships. Business is all about personal relationships. So why can't we market our services authentically? Why can't we leverage our strengths to market our services? And so I played with the idea. And about the same time, I came across content marketing. And I thought, perfect match. Yeah, so then I started to do the encourage clients to, instead of doing somebody else's formula or somebody else's $7,000 package, they try personal marketing. And so the catch line became, attract clients as comfortably as you make friends. And so instead of pushing our message at people, we would connect with people, or we'd put our best work out there, our whatever content we wrote, put that out there and say, this is who I am and this is what I do. Can I help you? Or if you want to help me, come and talk to me. Rather than pushing, do the pull thing. And it became became really comfortable for me, and it worked for clients as well. And when you stop and think about it, when you're doing personal service, you can't just pull a program off the shelf, because it involves you as a person as well as the technical professional service. And that also means that we can't be all things to all people. So we've got to choose our clients as well as carefully as we choose our friends. And so that makes the whole thing fit in. Now, the interesting thing is you talked about the billboards and the high level attorneys doing this kind of thing. That's a bit of a different ball game. That's a bit of a different practice, because the thing there is insurance money and contingency fees. So it really doesn't matter. You don't have to. Your clients don't really have to like you, and you don't have to like them, because either, if you win, the insurance company or the other side is going to pay your fees. So that's what that's all about. And with contingency fees, the bigger the promise, the bigger the fish hook. And that's a ballpark. I didn't go anywhere near. I never did litigation, for starters, but it's a totally different kind of package. And again, I am most comfortable in a one-on-one situation. I've tried bigger firms, and it was a disaster. So I am best in a one-on-one situation, as are most lawyers. And most lawyers are, because we don't get along with each other very well. So most of us practice on our own. But and so any professional service, whether it's a coach or a consultant or a therapist or a mentor or whatever, you go to somebody because you like them and they've got the professional skills you want. So that's where I headed with authentic marketing, and it works for me.
No, and I think that that's so awesome that you took that approach. And I want to clarify something that you said. You said curling, right? And obviously in the fitness background, like bicep curls. Are you talking about the sport that with like the brooms that they're?
Yeah. I'm a Canadian.
I had to make sure.
Oh,
when you said it the first time, I was like, did I mishear that? I've only seen it in the Olympics, right?
Well, that is it's when I was young. I was once, but when I was young, I knew about curling. I thought, my God, that's an old man's sport. That sucks. That's really boring. And when I was in bar admission course, training to be a lawyer, I saw a poster in the neighborhood talking about curling club, and the thing that got me was the sauna bath. So for $25, I could join this curling club and enjoy their sauna bath. And I went down there, and I was talking. I went down there a number of times, and I was talking to somebody in the sauna bath one time. He says, "Do you curl?" And I said, "No." And this was like a really old guy. He was probably, at the time, he was probably 60, but he seemed really old to me. And he said, "Why don't you curl?" And I'm thinking, that's an old guy's sport. I don't want to do that. So okay, fine, I'll do it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And so I started to curl. And when I lived in Walkerton, the small town, that was funny. If you didn't curl in the wintertime, you did nothing but stay home and drink, because there was like nothing else to do. And on a snowy night, like snow when you can't get around, that's crazy. Larry, where are you going? On a snowy Saturday night when everything was closed down, the works department plowed out the Catholic church and the curling club. Everything else was stayed snowbound. And it was a great sport. And it's the only team sport I've ever done that somebody who was really lousy can have as good a time as somebody who was really good on the same team. It's just, and I've been at both ends. I've been the lead, I've been at the bottom of the team, and I've been a skip. And I can honestly say that I've had as much fun as a skip as I have as a lead. It's just, awesome. Regardless, if somebody makes a shot that terrible, the line is, "Hey, good shot." So it's just a fun sport.
No, that's awesome. I think that was so awesome though that we were talking when you were talking about marketing and stuff too, though, you had mentioned that, it was all about networking, right? And I remember when had my personal training company, right? I didn't do any online training. I didn't actually really have a social media following, right? All mine came from referrals. And whether it was like directly asking a client for, hey, if you have anyone, that wants to start with personal training, I have a few slots open, or just being genuine with my clients, right? And providing them the
Right,
service
right.
that they
Okay.
needed. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, Devin, all of a sudden a friend or family would talk to them about, wanting to get back into fitness. Oh, I have a trainer, Devin. And that you can build such a reputable business just by referrals,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And and that
Absolutely.
and people think that to get referrals it's this grand scheme and all these different things. While there are some cool bells and whistles and tools you can use to utilize referrals, it really is just networking, right? It is really
Absolutely.
just getting out there and creating relationships like you said. So I think that is so awesome that you took that approach. Now I do want to ask though, so you said lawyers can't advertise,
We
right?
can now. We can now.
Okay,
They
but
can.
what did
Yeah.
what did you mean by advertise? You literally couldn't make like a billboard or
Yeah.
those kind of things?
Yeah.
Oh
Now
wow.
this was Canada a whole bunch of years ago, and it's changed now. It's
Okay.
changed dramatically now. But at the time, I think that our advertising was limited to something like maybe putting a business card in a newspaper or something. None of the high pressure, high power kinds of things we see now. When my decision to sponsor a baseball team was one of the other lawyers in the area sponsored a baseball team called, I think he called it the Law Lords. And that was kind of funny because our legal system in Canada is based on the British system, and there's lots of law lords. So that was kind of funny, and I thought it was cool. So I did the same thing. I didn't use my name; they used whatever name they wanted, but I sponsored it and bought. And sponsoring mean paid for the T-shirts, really. And I also I also said if I could be catcher, I'd buy two other baseball gloves. So I bought my way into the catcher position.
That's funny. Well, with kind of transitioning into some of the stuff that you're doing, post law, right? You've written and created nearly 30 books and video courses combined. What what really inspired you to one start writing, right? And two to create those video courses? And then what is your favorite topic to really cover?
Okay. My first book was a breakthrough. When I started my practice, I enjoyed walking in the office and seeing my name on the sign. It was just and you probably did when you saw your own name and on your business. It was a feeling of accomplishment. When I did my first book, when I got my first book from the very first copy of the book from the printer, I had such a feeling of fulfillment and purpose. Like it was more than just a tangible product. It was evidence of something that I had done, something that was meaningful to me, and something that would make a difference to others. And it was such an exciting thing that I just kind of went on and on and on and on and on. And I was fortunate. The first book was eventually picked up by Doubleday, and with Doubleday's help, I sold a bunch of books to Toronto Dominion Bank, which is one of the big five banks up here, and they bought 100,000 copies of one of the versions of the book, and this led to another book and led to another book, and it was just a case of I'd finish a book and something else would appear to me. As a result of doing that book, I had an opportunity to. I had a project and marketing consultant wanted me to work with him on creating an MBA level marketing program for small business. And I thought, hey, that'd be really kind of fun to do that. And this was because he'd seen my first book and thought, like my style, like my writing style. So we did that. And that was a game changer. Like I love love education, love help. I love learning, and I love helping people learn almost as much as I love learning. So I started working with Michael on the book, and during the course of working on the book, there's an opportunity to take a course in adult education, and this led me to experiential learning. And I thought, wow, this is just so amazing. So it just became part of the way I did things. I know that, and also, you know, I'm the bravado and the friendliness and the gregariousness. I'm an introvert at heart. I'm most comfortable when I'm by myself. I can do the socializing. I mean, I'm not socially inept, but I prefer to be by myself. And just writing gave me a creative outlet. And I got to the point that I could not write. Like if I was frustrated, or if I was upset, I just could not write. Here's an example. Last week, I I had the feeling of overwhelmed. There was just too much going on. I just had too much in my life. And so I just kind of pulled back a little bit, and postponed some things and canceled some other things. But I had this incredible intuitive urge to write. I just had to write. And not just anything, a lesson for a video course that I'm working on now. So I did that on Sunday, spent Sunday writing it, and recorded it on Monday. All of a sudden, all of the other issues that were bugging me were gone. It was as if the logjam had been cleared. So this may have been my intuition saying, okay, you got to do something creative to get back on the horse now that the other things have changed. So it just kind of led from one another. And the adult education course I talked about, this was perfect because, as I said, I love learning and I love helping others learn. Well, this was all about experiential learning. So I now know how to help people learn how to learn from experience. I mean, we've heard so many times experience is the best teacher, but nobody tells us how to learn from it. So here's the missing link. So that's been the common element all the way along. So it's a combination of inner drive that I've got to do this, gratifying, really, really gratifying. Right now, I'm in what I consider my my working on a legacy project. One is a book, and another book, because I want to. I think it's not right for all this experience to come to me for me to take it to my grave with me. I want to share it. And so that's what the book is about, and that's what the course is about. And it just, I don't think I'm being altruistic. I think I'm just, it's right. It feels right to me.
No, that's so awesome. And I really like what you said about, you know, learning from the experience and teaching people how to learn from the experience. One of our core philosophies at, you know, the business, and it started with one of my core values, was extract the lesson, right?
Oh,
Every
totally.
day,
Totally.
every day you learn something, right? And it could be directly or it could be indirectly through the conversations you have with people, through the interactions at your business, whatever the case may be, right? You have a conversation with someone, you said something that made them react a certain way. Why did they react that way? Did you say it wrong? Like, extract a little lesson from the day. So at the end of the day, reflect on your day and try to take something away from it, right?
Oh,
Or for
yeah.
our
Oh, yeah.
staff, if something arises, right, if whether it's a mistake, whether they didn't get a sale, whether, you know, anything happens, right, what did you learn, right?
Bingo. Oh,
So
total. Just
so
total.
I think that was so cool that you had mentioned that.
And even if it's even if it's a total screw up, even if it's a total mess,
Mm-hmm.
you know, instead of walking away from, I mean, okay, don't get too involved with the downside, but think, you know, take some time. You know, where did it go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What did I learn from there that it won't happen again? How could it have been better? So everything, like every experience has learning potential. We just, you know, for whatever reason, we don't go there.
No, definitely. And so before, I mean, man, I could keep this conversation going.
You
Um,
too, eh?
before we wrap up, though, I do want it to intertwine something right now, because you had just mentioned it with your new project, which was, again, an awesome coincidence. On every episode, I have this section, right? And I don't like to tell people ahead of time because I like it to be a little more organic. I want the first thing that comes to mind, right? So whatever comes to mind, short or small, you know, long, whatever you got.
Okay.
But you have a wall, right? It is your legacy wall. It is, Larry's legacy wall. What would be the message that would be on this wall for the younger generations to come, whether it's in the legal field, whether it's in the, just life field, whether it's in the entrepreneurial space? What would be that one legacy that just resonates so well with you?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Explain a little bit.
I fall into the same thing. I'm filled with self-doubt. Sometimes I can't talk. But so often a new idea comes up and we talk ourselves out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, we tried that and it didn't work, so I'm not going back there again. It's interesting because I'm working on a course now, a video course, Transformation Connection, how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I talked about, trying to simplify things. This is leftover content that have to make some use of it. It's like doing leftovers on Tuesday afternoon. I think that that so many people are either confused by all the things that come our way, or are dragged down by things that didn't work out the way they did. That it's hard for people to say I can without appearing overly. Sorry about this. Hope we edit this.
No, you're good.
So many people's default decision is I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because I tried it and it didn't work, or it's not going to work, or they told me I couldn't, or whatever. And I've learned that that once I listen to the little voice inside of me that says, yeah, you can do it. I usually can. If it's my true intuition saying don't go there, I won't go there. But if it's the optimist in me saying, sure, we can do this, it works. But so many people just, and I've had clients like this. I've offered solutions and their immediate response is to find problems with a solution. And I had to beat them up to get them to listen, not physically, but get them to change the mindset. So it's the yes you can is the growth mindset. It opens the door to the growth mindset. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost code word for the positive elements within us. That's why I simplified it to yes I can.
No, that's so awesome. I think that is so true, right? Just because it didn't work out one time doesn't mean it won't work out the next time. You just did something that didn't allow you to succeed in the current moment. But again, there's 1,000 different ways you could have approached it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's where that extract the lesson comes from and stuff. So I think that's so awesome. And I am an advocate of, the legacy wall of Larry, yes, you can. So where can people connect with you?
I've got a website, LarryEasto.com, and I've done a couple of interesting things. At least to me, they're interesting. Instead of just a big information dump, I've set it up so that it's almost a decision-making process to help people identify one thing they can do to improve their business or improve their well-being. And for example, the first question will be, do you want to make a transformation in your life? If so, click here. So it goes to a resource that does that. Farther down, it's do you want to improve your marketing your business? Click here, and that takes to some video courses that do that. At the bottom of it, there is a choice of two thank you gifts. One is for people who run professional service businesses. It's a free copy of my book, 26 Ways for a Service Professional to Get New Business. And it's just a direct link. Don't need an email or anything. Just download the book and go for it and get some new business. And the other one is a book that's kind of not there yet, but it will be there soon. And I don't know what I'm calling it, but it's a personal transformation book. It's content from a book that didn't make the course. So that's a giveaway as well. And that'll be on the website as well.
No, I just want to say I appreciate you for, sharing that. The website and stuff will be in the show notes, guys. If you're watching
Perfect.
this on YouTube, watch, the link will be in the description. Guys, make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. You make sure you guys, share the knowledge that you learned on this episode, because I know I got a different perspective and it opened up my mindset a little bit. So make sure you guys leave us that review. And Larry, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day
Oh,
to hop
thank
on.
you. This was so much fun. What a great way to end the week. Thank you. This was fun.
No, I appreciate you. And guys, if you're listening, we love you. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Cause in the game of life, mindset calls the shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to be slacking. I hustle hard, I go against the current.